Good morning. Welcome to Story Time. For those who are listening, from this time forward, I'm just going to begin reading each chapter. That's way, if you're listening, you don't have to listen to my intro every time. So, we are in chapter 7 of Tale of Two Thieves, Death in a Lonely Field. And chapter 7 is titled Give Me a Hand. My associate finished his miserable, hair-raising tale and sat silently beside me, waiting for my response. I felt literally ill. The knot in my gut couldn't tighten anymore. It was at full capacity. Solutions to get us out of this horrible mess eluded me. I couldn't see one ray of hope. The self-administered chemicals in my blood system did nothing but make matters worse. They only intensified my state of panic, hopelessness, and mental chaos. My only answer was the words I had spoken before he told his nightmare story. "We're dead," I repeated in desperation. My associate tried to assure me that this wasn't going to be the outcome. He said he was told that if we returned the stolen goods and the stuff, then we wouldn't be killed. I wasn't the optimist he was making himself out to be. I was a criminal. I cheated, stole, lied to others. It was a way of life, a way of survival. The old saying, birds of a feather flock together, is true. The men who were promising us pardon were criminals, cheats, and liars too. They would say anything and do anything to get their stuff back so they could make a buck off it. In response to my associate's assurance, I broke out into laughter that had nothing to do with joy. My laughter was filled with contempt and scorn. It was also very short-lived. It stopped abruptly and was replaced with an angry rebuke toward my associate, full of derision, chiding him for being so naive, so stupid. "You've got to be kidding," I screamed at him with panic-induced anger. "The only reason they didn't kill you earlier today was because there was a loose end. Me. They were only afraid that if they killed you, I would panic and go to the cops. They're just waiting to get their merchandise back. Then, with both turkeys in the same bag, they're going to take us back out to that same field and bury us." My associate calmly sat there and took my heated rebuke. In fact, it seemed to me to be far too calm for the mess we were in. Why was he so calm? I felt the presence of Mr. Paranoia enter the two-seat sports car. My mind began to suspect some funny business going on. What did he tell them while he stood in the field? Did I get all the blame? Did he leave out the part where he was the instigator of this whole scheme? These thoughts began to speed through my brain as I waited for him to answer me. "He promised, if you return everything, that he won't kill you," he calmly repeated. My mind quickly registered the fact that he said you and not us. I was quickly jumping to the conclusion that I was being set up by my associate, that he was going to send me in as a scapegoat. Then his next words hit me like a 2x4 over the head. He said he isn't going to kill you. He is only going to cut off your hand for stealing from him. He said it as if he were sharing the daily weather report. My associate was not smiling. This was not a cruel practical joke. He was deadly serious. I went ballistic, cursing and ranting at my associate, accusing him of setting me up. I interrogated him, asking why I was the only one getting my hand cut off. When my rant session was finished, he calmly denied all accusations I threw at him. He didn't know why the sentence was handed down the way it was. He was only the messenger. Then he continued on with his message. I was to take all the stolen goods to the house where I got them. I wouldn't be hurt while I was returning the merchandise. Then we were going to meet at an Earl's restaurant later that night with the drugs. I looked at my associate blankly. I was numb. I didn't trust him at all, but I didn't know what else to do. I felt trapped like a cornered animal. He continued to inform me that he was warned not to bring any weapons to the meeting that night. Violation of this rule would be punished harshly. He told me that once I dropped off the stolen goods, I could come and wait at his house until the meeting at Earl's later that night. I left my associate with a very sour taste in my mouth. I had stolen alone, I thought bitterly, and now I guess I must return the merchandise alone. 2 weeks before, if anyone had told me that crime didn't pay, I would have called him a fool. Now, as I looked at myself in the rearview mirror, I stared at the only fool in sight. Driving back to the crime scene with all the stolen goods, I couldn't shake the feeling I was being set up, that all the dirty deeds were being pinned on me. I also couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting tonight was not going to take place at Earl's restaurant. It might begin at Earl's, but most likely it would end in a lonely field outside the city limits, a place where cries of torment and exploding gunpowder would not be heard.